Welcome to Evolve, where we are embracing progression and expansion. Now, here's your host, Henry Harris. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Evolve. I am so delighted that you've taken this opportunity to watch this evening. Let me know where you are watching from. My name is Henry Harris. I am the host, founder, and creator of Evolve. This is a diverse, inclusive space where we don't just, we're not univocal, meaning it's not just about my voice. There are times where we bring a variety of voices on the show to talk about a variety of issues. So I'm so delighted you taken this opportunity to tune in. Again, let me know where you're watching from. Take time to connect with us. We go live every Monday night right here on my YouTube channel, the Brother Henry and You Show. And by the way, the Brother Henry and You Show is an old show I did for many years. Evolve is an extension of that, but Evolve is a little bit different. So I'm so blessed to be here. I'm blessed to be alive. We are blessed to be a blessing. So I'm so grateful that you're here. Today, I'm just going to come to you and just kind of talk to you a little bit about myself, about some things that I've experienced over the years as far as ministry goes. And many people have some form of ministry. Ministry is different. Some people have a ministry of feeding the homeless. Some people view ministry as standing up behind the pulpit preaching. Some people view ministry as doing nursing work, taking care of the elderly. So there are many dynamics when it comes to ministry. But years ago, let me just start out with my childhood. I was raised in church, and I had loving parents. Even when they didn't go to church, they made sure that I went to church. They made sure I had 4 brothers, which I'm the oldest. They made sure we all went to church, and I'm grateful for that because I think because of that, it made me to who I am today. And then over the years, I've ended up being a little bit more progressive, but I've only been progressive in about the last 10 years or so. But once again, I was raised in church. I love church. They kept us in church. We went to every Bible study, church every Sunday night. Vocational Bible school, vocational, whatever they call it. Anyway, we went there. So once again, I think who I am today creates the framework of who I am because I have some exposure as it relates to church. So I'm not just this person that's just talking about it. It's something that I grew up in, I experienced. I remember as a child during Sunday school, we would do our Sunday school lessons, and then we would have to stand up before the whole church and elaborate on what we learned. And they said I talked the longest. I knew then at 6, 7 years old that I was going to be doing some type of ministry or speaking in front of people. And I did eventually end up doing that. I'm just kind of giving a little background about myself. My father entered the ministry, I think the year of 2000. And I was called to ministry shortly before I graduated from high school. July 2004 is when I did what they call a trial sermon. And right after that, I went to Job Corps and I kind of started I didn't go there to start a ministry. I went there to pick up a trade, but there were different activities on campus, and we had a thing called SAGE, Students About God's Essence, and we would meet on every Friday night. I'll never forget it. Some of my Job Corps friends that's watching me now, you probably can resonate with what I'm talking about because you were probably there. And I would speak some nights. We had this little room. I would speak some nights. Some of my other friends, Michael Rouse, Randy Staggs, just different ones, Brian Mackey, just different of my Job Corps friends that I had. We would speak, and people would come through by the hundreds, and be blessed by the word of God. And I tell you, it was such an amazing experience. I'll never forget that. And that was right about 2006, because I graduated in 2005 from high school. Um, Life kind of went by pretty fast after that. I went to Bible college roughly around 2008. What I did was I got online and I typed up free Bible colleges because God knows I didn't have any money. And well, I had money, but not enough to go to a Bible school. So I typed up free Bible college, and what came up was the Apostolic Faith Bible School, Bible College, and it was in Baxter Springs, Kansas. Now, keep in mind, I was in Texas at this time. So I looked it up and I called, and they were just so accepting students for that semester. It's a very small college, and they say free, but it's really not free because they operate on donations, and I think they still do to this day. Where we got free dormitory, we ate 3 meals a day. I mean, I'm very grateful to have had Bible college experience. It wasn't seminary. There's a difference between Bible college and seminary. But it was a way to get me out of the house. I was just ready to just expand, just to grow. I didn't want to be one of those kids that just stayed at home. So, of course, I started out there. And while I was there at Bible college 2008, I was kind of telling some of the pastors that were there kind of what I did and what I do. And I could think of a fear in my mind that gave me an opportunity. And some of these people don't have churches today. We're talking about, like, this was about 20 years ago. And they gave me an opportunity to speak and preach and play the piano. Some of that I still do today. And I had an amazing journey at Bible school. Graduated from there in 2009. Didn't really want to move back to Texas, so I kind of like made my abode here in Missouri, and or as some people say, misery. And I've been here ever since. Living here in Missouri. Got married twice here. Those marriages didn't work, but I deeply admire my ex-wives. Really good friends with the first one. We had our daughter together in 2011, and my ministry really, really took off roughly after that. And I had received invitations to speak in nearly every state in the United States. I've never been out of the country, but I've been to Houston, Dallas, South Dakota. I've been to, where else? Just a variety of Arkansas. I mean, just a variety of places. I don't want to just start naming places. I just been to different places. Utah. I mean, I've been all over the place. Just ministering and speaking and developing relationships with, pastors and, just doing ministry, just having a good time. Even as I went into my second marriage in 2018, it seemed like it even got worse. And I don't mean in a bad way, but just getting invites to Alabama, just different places like that. And I can thoroughly say that as I was doing that I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time being on the road speaking. And this is while I was working full-time job and trying to raise a daughter. So you can imagine it could be a little stressful, not being at home. But I wasn't gone like every weekend, but trust me, I did really enjoy doing traveling ministry. They would call me evangelist or Brother Henry. That's what they still call me to this day. And it don't bother me. So I developed a lot of friendships, a lot of relationships throughout my life, especially the latter part of my life. I'm approaching almost 40. I'm getting old. And but I've noticed in the latter part of my years where some things have drastically changed. I started to notice that I wasn't really getting the calls that I used to get. And those Christian friends that were friends of mine weren't engaging with me like they used to. Um, and I'll be honest, in that season and in that time in my life, especially when I went through my divorce, it just seemed like everything just started to go downhill for me, and I started to question my spirituality. I started to question God, and I said, God, I know you called me to do this, but why is nobody calling me? What happened? I mean, just think about being in I'm not gonna say I was in demand, like, oh boy, he's all over the place, but no one rarely ever said no to me, or if they reached out to me, I would go. So when you start to see the dynamics of those relationships change, you start to reevaluate yourself, and you start to ask yourself, is there something that I said? Is there something that I did? Am I doing the wrong thing? What's going on? Why is nobody calling? Why am I not getting any invites? And then I started to notice it was, I think 2011, where I started to get involved with what they call the Grace Camp. There's a lot of misconceptions about grace. There are a lot of people that say, well, they teach you can do whatever you want. And I don't know any grace teacher that teaches that. I would consider myself, I don't like labels, but I would consider myself a grace teacher in some aspects, even though I have evolved beyond that. But I've never taught that. I've never said, oh, because you're under grace, you can do whatever you want. In the words of Bishop Carden Pearson, he always said, what do you want to do? It makes you ask yourself that question, what is it you want to do? So I was a part of that. And I was exposed to the ministry of Pastor Bill Hackworth, God's Glory Tabernacle, there in Pineville, Missouri. We're still good friends to this day. Sometimes I go minister for him at least once or twice a year. So he was the one that really planted that seed in my life in regards to grace and what God's grace looks like and things like that. Well, years later, uh, I started to become more progressive. I started to become more inclusive in thought. I started to expand my thinking in a logical sense in an academic approach towards the Bible, dissecting the scriptures, not just looking at it through the lens of legalism as I used to years ago. I've never been like a hardcore, you're going to hell type of guy, but I never had an experience with God as I did years ago, or the perception that I had of God years ago. It drastically changed, and it was almost like when I started to express myself on Facebook about this God, not a new God, but the God I've always known, but just seeing a different light. I think a lot of Christians and a lot of people have just kind of backed off because I was making God look better and gooder than what they were indoctrinated with. I started to see God in a more brighter light. I started to see God in a more inclusive light. And I think it's a combination of things as to why I stopped receiving invites. I stopped receiving calls. I will say I'm not validated by that. What I'm doing tonight with you is a form of ministry. I still get invites to speak, at different places and different functions and to play the piano and stuff like that. I don't do it like I used to, but I'm comfortable where I'm at today. My daughter's getting older. I don't want to travel like I used to. I'm serious. I am comfortable where I'm at. But to say that I wasn't hurt by the many years of friendships that I've had with these pastors and Christian friends over the years as part of Christianity, and for them to just block me, walk away, blacklist me, and act like that everything that I've ever done for them didn't matter for whatever reason, it did hurt at that time. And that's why I'm calling this Blacklist from Ministry. Many of you can resonate. I posted this on Facebook not too long ago, and many of you have said you've been blacklisted from ministry. Now, somebody may be watching now. We're going to put some presentations on the screen. You may be saying, well, what is blacklist? Well, here's the definition. The definition of blacklist is a list of people or things that are regarded as unacceptable or untrustworthy and should be excluded or avoided. That's what that's what black that's what blacklist means. It means somebody that's deemed as unworthy. You can't trust them, and I was never that way. So just think about it: getting calls all the time, speaking at different places, doing different functions at different churches, and now um, they don't even call you anymore. You're pretty much not even important. You're not even in their world anymore because they really don't care. But that's what blacklist is listed means. It means that you are excluded. You're no longer a part of it anymore. They don't call you for whatever reason, but that's okay. I do think it's important that we discuss some reasons why um, people are blacklisted from ministry, avoided, pushed to the side, shoved away. I kind of gave you my story. So, but I did post on Facebook, and some of these are some things I've came up with, but some of these are some things that um, so people on Facebook that follow me have shared, and I just want to share this with you today. So, what are some reasons that you could be blacklisted from ministry? Well, number one is theological progression. What is theological progression? Theological progression means you don't just view the Bible at face value. You're one to challenge the Bible. You're one to ask questions. Maybe you had a certain thought or perspective about the Bible or the scriptures in the Bible that you no longer believe anymore, but you still believe it, but you believe it in a different way. What I find crazy about some Christian communities is like if you're not all believing the same thing, you're somehow labeled, ostracized, pushed away, excluded. You know, you're pretty much an outcast because you don't believe the way that they do. You've experienced a theological progression. There are some of my friends that don't believe in hell. I have some friends that don't believe in heaven. I have some friends that, you know, those things that we hold as fundamental truths, they just don't believe that anymore. They still have some beliefs. They may still believe in those things, but they just kind of see it from a different approach. So that means you had a theological progression, and you definitely won't be getting no invites at churches if that's what if you're experiencing a theological progression. I think about Bishop Carden Pearson. He went through a theological progression where he said he didn't believe in hell anymore. He never cheated on his wife. He never committed fraud with the ministry. He never did anything wrong like that to be disgraced. That's what a lot of people like to call. He just said, I don't believe in hell anymore. I just believe God is better than what we have painted and presented him to be. Lost everything. Lost his ministry. Lost his church. But he gained a whole world of new friends before he had passed away, and I was one of them. We had him on the show not too long ago. 2019, and we had a wonderful experience. But he's a prime example of someone who's went through a theological progression. Number two, you're not good enough. I know that sounds dismissive. It may sound harsh, but in some churches, you're not good enough to come preach for them. You're not the talk of the town. You're just not good. They don't deem you as worthy enough to come speak. Now, the pastor will never tell you that. He'll keep lying to you. I've had pastors do that to me too, and I'm not going to call no names. Oh, you going to come preach for me? I promise you're going to come preach. No, they're not. And they typically tell you, oh, I'll pray about it. No, when they say I'll pray about it, there's an indication. What they're saying is no. Just no. Because in the past, I used to ask pastors, like, this is my talent, this is my gift. I would love to come share. Oh, we'll pray about it. A year go by. 2 years go by. 3, 4. It's like, wow, it's taking them a long time to pray. They never wanted you. They don't want you there. Why? Because you are perceived as a threat to their belief systems and to their where they're at. So you got to realize a lot of Christians are not growing. They're not evolving. A lot of pastors are not evolving. They're stuck. They're stuck. They're so stuck that they don't have room for the agency of the Holy Spirit to navigate and move through their lives. They're just stuck. And they want their people to be that way. So when you have somebody like you that's free and you're going in there, of course, that can be a problem. Number 3, you don't share the same beliefs as others. Like I said earlier, there may be some things that you believe. You may say, well, I don't believe that anymore. They will literally block you, unfriend you, deem you as a heretic, all because you don't share the same concepts and perspectives and viewpoints as they do. Ain't that crazy? Number 4, another reason why a lot of people are blacklisted from ministry is because they left the church. And we've seen that happen quite a bit as well. They left the church. They don't have nothing to do with the church. And normally when you leave, they don't contact you. They don't engage with you. They don't have nothing to do with you because they view you as being problematic. We're going to continue. Number 5. Sometimes you're blacklisted when they see that you are developing relationships with those who are not Christians. Because a lot of Christians are only friends with Christians. Ain't that quite ironic? So when they see you hanging out with somebody else, maybe at a bar, or and that goes into number 6, going into spaces and places they deem Christians shouldn't go, they will blacklist you. You can forget about being invited because you're bringing an approach to the body of Christ. Number 7, this is a big one. Being an ally for the LGBT community. I know a lot of people who's an ally of the LGBT community. They love them, they support them and whatnot. If you are doing that and you are in ministry, you can forget about getting an invite or doing anything at that church because the way the LGBT community have been pretty much slaughtered, not physically, but just slaughtered in a way, and how they've been treated over the years by the church has just been ridiculous. They call it truth. It's not truth. It's hate. It's hate. You don't embody the love of Christ, and I think we should show love to everyone, not just Christians. You know, the scripture says, "For God so loved the world that He what? He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believed in Him should not perish, but what? Have everlasting life." Isn't that a beautiful thing? Notice that He says, "Whosoever." I have a friend in Kansas City has a church called Whosoever Ministries. Whosoever, gay, straight, black, white, Jew, Gentile, no matter who you are, Christ died for all people. And I know it upsets you or whatnot, but that's one thing about me. I'll go into spaces, I'll go into places where I don't care what they think about me anymore. I used to be real big on reputation. Well, I don't want to be seen with this one. I don't want to comment on this person's post. I don't want people to think I'm fellowshipping with them. No, it's not even about that. It's not about protecting your reputation. It's about showing the love of God where the love of God needs to be shown. Are you enjoying this? Now, here are some more reasons. Asking questions and challenging the religious system. Woo! Think about that. Not all churches, but some churches forbid you to ask questions. They do. there's this one popular theological belief that says no matter what bad things happen, whether they're bad or good, we are not to question God, because God takes the things that happens to us and use them for a purpose or for a reason. Chew on that for a second. So they don't want you to challenge them. They don't want you, and I don't understand that, because I would think, for example, I would think like if you were like in sports or something like that, I want my coach to push me, to challenge me, to correct me when I'm wrong, to strengthen me, to straighten me out in some sense. And it's like, but the church cannot be questioned. The church is the only system that cannot be questioned. The religious system, the institution, can't be challenged. And I'm like this, any God that I cannot ask questions to cannot be my God. Any ministry I'm a part of that I cannot ask questions, and it doesn't mean that I'm challenging it to create problems, because sometimes you ask questions, people think, oh, you're just coming to start problems. No, I'm not coming to start problems. I'm just curious. So 9, not accepting a political figure or movement. One of my friends, Pastor Solomon Buckley, put that in the comments section, that he was pretty much done away with when he said, no, I am not supporting a certain political candidate. I'm just not doing it. And they did not want to deal with him. Think about that. Think about how far the church has come, where we have pretty much connected politics and spirituality together. So much so that we have elevated politics above love. So much so that we are willing to exclude and be done with people who may not have the same political ideas or views that you have. 10, moral failure. There's some people that have been blacklisted from ministry for moral failure. Maybe they cheated on their wife. Maybe she cheated on her husband. Maybe they did something that they deem as inappropriate. 11, I like this one, systematically indoctrinated to not question authority. Now that's a good one. And we've seen that happen a time or two as well, where don't question the pastor. Because what we've been taught is that to question the pastor is the same as questioning God. So that you never, what the pastor does, you'll never question him, because to question him is the same as questioning God. And that's just not right. It is not true. So those are some reasons why you can be blacklisted. But what we're about to get into now as we go to a close is, okay, those are reasons how we can be blacklisted, but how do we navigate through that? How do we process this? How do we cope with being blacklisted from ministry? Well, 1, you have to accept what happened and move on. And that's just being real. Okay, they blacklisted me. They don't want me to come back. They don't want me to be part of their community. You accept it and you move on. It's just that simple. There's nothing else to say about that. You just accept it and move on. That's hard to hear, but it's true. 2, you realize that everyone in the Christian community is not your friend. I'm telling you about what I've experienced, what I've learned. Everyone in the Christian community is not your friend. They're not your buddy. They are your friend as long as you believe in the same thing they believe and you're doing it the same way they're doing it. But they're not always your friend. They're not always on your side. And I think it's important to realize that. 3, oh boy, this is good. They were more in love with your gift than you as a person. I feel like I've been used in some sense when it comes to ministry, because they were more in love with your talent. Oh, Henry plays the piano. He can preach. He can do this. He can teach. He can do that. But when I start to think a little bit differently than you, when I start to have a theological progression or whatever the case may be, when I start to love people that y'all been taught not to love, oh, somehow I'm a problem now. So no, they don't love you. They love what you can do for them. A lot of churches that way. They'll never tell you, but it's just the truth. 4, you discover that they have cult-like behavior. And they do. Cult-like behavior. I always said this about Evolve. We're not a cult. If somebody came on here and had a different opinion, a different belief that I have, I would accept it. I would, because we're not a cult. I love diversity. I love bringing different voices on. I love bringing different opinions on, because that's important to me. Let's move on. Number 5, you create your own platform. That's how I cope with it. I've always had it, but a lot of my ministry now is online, doing Evolve. I can speak whenever I want to speak. I don't have to wait for somebody to create an opportunity for me. I can do it myself, and I'm reaching not only people in the United States, I'm reaching the world. I'm reaching more people now than I ever would in a church of 20 or 30. And I'm not saying that to be demeaning or hateful. I'm just being honest. Stop waiting on a pastor to call you. Stop waiting on somebody to give you a ministry opportunity. Create your own space. Create your own platform. There's so many resources out there. You got Facebook Live. You got all these different platforms for YouTube. YouTube is free. Go set your channel up. Start a ministry. You don't have to be behind the pulpit. I think it's been something that's been misrepresented as well, that we feel like we're not standing up preaching to people, that we're not really doing ministry. You're doing ministry every day of your life. And I said this, like I said on my Facebook the other day, I would like to be known for not just me standing up preaching. I want my life to be that. Number 6, you learn how to reevaluate relationships. I should have put new relationships, but it really does, especially when you're going into Christian spaces. You learn how to reevaluate new relationships. It's not that you view them the same way you view the people who left you and blocked you and all this stuff. It's just that you're just more intentional. You're more careful. Number 7, people are more in love with a belief than you. That's why it's easy for them to cut you off. I said it earlier. It's just like cult-like behavior. They are more in love with a belief than they are with you. So they say they love you with the love of Christ, but do they really? We love you with the love of God, but do they really? Because they'll cut you off. Number 8, ask yourself, this is the last thing, ask yourself, this is how I cope with it. Ask yourself, what did I, not the one who cut me off, not the pastor who don't want to deal with me anymore, but ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience, and what can I do to change? What does the future look like for me in terms of ministry? Mine would be one of inclusiveness. Mine would be one of being careful who I connect to. Like I said, I'm not validated by crowds anymore. I used to be. Oh, they don't call me no more. They're boo-hoo. It's like, okay, yeah, it hurt that they walked away. It hurt that they unfriended me. That stuff hurts. But I'm not validated by that, because the scripture says God will never leave us. And I'm convinced that he never will. So those are some things how I personally cope with being blacklisted. And at this time, we're going to get into tonight's questions. Have you ever been blacklisted from ministry? Number 2, what are some reasons you have been excluded or avoided? I've asked quite a few friends on Facebook, and they did give me their reasons. And number 3, how do you cope or navigate through being blacklisted? I would like for all of you that are watching right now, as we go to a close, to connect with me. You can get involved, like, subscribe, follow us, youtube.com/HenryHarris100. We go live there every Monday night at 7 o'clock. You can also follow us on Soul TV, Make sure you connect with them. And also you can follow us on Facebook.com, The Brawley Henry and You Show. I am so blessed, so grateful that you've taken this opportunity to watch. If you have been blacklisted from ministry, I love you. And you always have a platform right here on Evolve. You really do. Send me an email. Contact Henry Harris at yahoo.com. Got a story to share, whatever it is. Let's come on here. Let's talk about it, because it's all about growth. It's all about learning. It's all about discovering who you are, and in some cases, who you aren't. So I'm so glad that you've taken this opportunity to watch. And if you've been blacklisted from ministry, your ministry is not over because they walked away. It's just begun. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.